Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to one and all. I welcome you all for today's webinar, which is Business in 21st Century. Hello, Roger. Welcome. Hi, Ria. I welcome you all. Hello from Philippines. Hello. Hello, Rishi. Hello, Adelino. It's nice to see all of you from different corners of the world. I'm sure that you all are excited for today's webinar. So, Professor Mansoor, before everybody joins, I would like to have a small icebreaker session with everyone. It's a small
Please.
question, and once everybody joins, we can start with our webinar today.
Absolutely.
So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. Before we start with our webinar today, I would like to ask all of you that who dreams or aspires to be a businessman or a woman or an entrepreneur in the coming years, and if you do, what is that you really aspire to do? So write your answer in a very brief in the chat box, and we would like to know that who all from the audience seems to be really enterprising and who is really keen to understand that how the business in 21st century unfolds. Okay, so we have a lot of answer, Professor Mansoor. Okay, and Rishi says that he wants to be an entrepreneur. Yes. Gaily says that he wants to run a cybersecurity company. Roger, the question is that who all from you wants to be an entrepreneur and starts his or her own business? And if you do, what do you think that business can be? So you have to answer in very short. Okay, Jenny says that she wants to, she really aspires to be an agribusiness entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Ajina says Digital Literacy Center for Financial Literacy. That's a very interesting enterprise. Okay, so she really wants to spread the financial literacy. Alex from Ghana, he wants to be an entrepreneur and start a soap production company. Wow, okay. Transport company, digital technology, business consultancy enterprise, hospitality business. Wow, that's great.
There's quite
We
a lot
have,
of people who are interested in technology, and
yes,
that's actually, this is what 21st century is all about, right?
it is all about, yes.
Right.
Great. I'm so happy that you all participated in this small icebreaker question. Okay, so I welcome you all to our today's webinar on business in 21st century, where we explore the dynamic landscape of modern commerce. In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead requires a keen understanding of emerging trends, technologies, and consumer behaviors. Throughout this session, today we will delve into strategies and tools essential for success in the digital age, from harnessing the power of data analytics to navigating the complexities of global markets. So whether you are a seasoned entrepreneur or a budding startup, uh, I request all of you to join us today, participate very actively today as we unlock insights into drive innovation and growth resilience in today's ever evolving business. Now, for today's webinar, first of all, I welcome Mr. Professor Mansoor Khan, who is today with us. Professor Mansoor Khan is a very experienced faculty, and he almost 22 years of experience in the education sector, project management and training across international institutions. He also excels in stakeholder liaising, program development, and strategic problem solving. Professor Mansoor Khan is skilled in interpreting policies, providing informed feedback, and engaging stakeholders. He also brings valuable insights and practical solutions to complex issues. Thank you, Professor Mansoor Khan, for being here today.
Pleasure.
I hand over the session to you.
Right. Thank you very much for this amazing introduction. Sometime I just kind of look at myself and I thought that how this 21st century is turning into. And then I look at back my experience, and then I think that, that things are changing all the time. And we'll take it from there because change is very, very important. So let's just go into this, and then what we're going to go, as Sally said, that we are going to have a lot of Q&A, and I would like to participate, you to participate in Q&A because we learn quite a lot from asking questions. Okay, so let's just start with this. I mean, my first slide, which is going to be talking about that, what exactly is, when we talk about change. So one of the philosopher, the Greek philosopher Heraclitus says that the only thing which is constant, and that is change. And if you go back, 50 years back, you will see that what we were doing has completely transformed us. We are in the almost quarter of a century in the 21st century. And look how things have changed. And this Heraclitus wisdom was basically it's resonate in today's society that we are in. The change is continuous and it's non-stopping. And if you do not come to accept that change, you're going to be in big trouble. So let's see, technology has changed everything. I mean, we are talking about, as I said, if we go back 50 years, and 50 years, whenever we talk about 50 years, it's not that far away. I mean, we are talking about 1980s. We're talking about 1970s. We're talking about, 1990s and 2000, how things have completely transformed. And these kind of things that we need to understand that what is happening around us in terms of globalization, in terms of customers, how they're acting and reacting to things, that kind of thing is, we need to be agile enough to capture that. And if we don't, we're going to be in big trouble. Sustainability drives, enduring success. We need to be sustainable, and that sustainable especially reflects on environmental issues as well. That, I mean, if we do not basically work on it in a way that we will not be able to sustain our business in terms of technology, in terms of raw product, in terms of environment, we're going to be in big trouble. So we need to understand all of those kind of things. And that's not the only thing, because as I said, the change has many components. All right. We are talking about the emphasis on ethics and change tech from different leaders. I mean, look at Steve Jobs, that he brought that change, the technological change, into his company, and the company almost became $1 trillion company. Look at, we are talking about Amazon, Steve Bezos. He actually put the technology into the system, and then that changed. And that is the leadership. We're not talking about technological changes. That's the leadership, the vision that we are going to change things. And that really helps push the boundaries. Elon Musk, he's sending the rocket up and it's coming back and landing. Did we think of that 50 years ago, 20 years ago, even 10 years ago? No. But because of technology, these things are actually happening. All right, so entrepreneurial change or entrepreneurial boom in 21st century is humongous. It's huge. It's like you cannot really stop it. No matter which country, no matter which area, which region you are in, no matter what kind of background you have in terms of technology, in terms of education, you can bring those changes into the concept. And then that concept becomes more practical. And when it becomes practical, it means that you are actually making those changes happen. And then you will become a pioneer in terms of pushing the boundaries, in terms of making those changes available. So tech revolution is a very big thing. And remember, we thought tech revolution was like Google. Now here come a big bang, and that big bang is AI. AI has changed everything. The tech revolution has basically turned the concept, the ideas into a very fast moving change. And these fast moving changes are exponential. We only heard about AI not that long ago. I mean, I would say that in mainstream media, it came into like 2, 3 years back, right? And now everybody knows about AI. Everybody's using AI. You can't really stop it. What we can do is that we can turn this around so it becomes useful for us. It becomes a tool that we can use. A lot of people complain that, a lot of the students, they actually copy the assignments from AI. I thought it's not copying it, it's the using it as a tool to research. In my days when I was writing my dissertation, I have to spend hours and hours in terms of research, right? Going into the library, sitting down and doing this. Now that research for the new younger student has like compressed it in a way that I can sit down and I can say to AI, get me, last 5 paper written on that subject, and AI can actually do that for me. So that means that the changes are happening. Changes are very, very fast. You need to develop and kind of adapt to it. Now, other thing is that why do we need it? Well, because of e-commerce, because e-commerce is something that it actually turned that knowledge, turned that tool into your usage or your expansion of your business. And that's one of the reasons that I can sit somewhere in a very remote area and I can actually run my business without any problem in terms of throughout the world. That's one of those things that you need to know. So what we need is that we need to push the boundaries when it comes to e-commerce. We need to push the boundary when it comes to, online transaction, making money, expanding your business. How do we do that? Well, I mean, the thing is like one of the key thing is that like you can actually put the global concept, the global transaction, which means that I can sit down at one place and I can make my money all around the world without any problem through technology. So all of this online presence is very, very crucial for competitiveness. And those companies who are lagging behind in terms of adapting these kind of environment, that creates a big problem for them because in terms of competitiveness, the other company, which is much smaller, newer, they can take a very big chunk of their market without any problem. Why? It's because they are really into technology and they want to use those tools without any kind of disruption. And this is why we need that. So innovation is a key to all of those kind of things. Innovation disrupt the whole kind of status quo. And that is like continuously changing. So as I said, Heraclitus said, the only thing which is constant is the change. And we should not be scared of that change. We should be looking at that change and accepting it and adapting it. All right, now let's see that when we are talking about what are the things which AI can do for you. Like, I mean, AI transform business operation and decision making. I don't need to sit down and start to kind of think about that what's going to be the trend and how it's going to be coming. I will ask that AI, the artificial intelligence, that sort out these things for me. And it can actually collate all of that information for me in a very kind of a quick move and collect the information from everywhere. And that is the key to that. It facilitates big data. We are talking about big data. I mean, go back 5, 10 years ago, collecting big data and then analyzing it, it was a time consuming effort, right? People used to get really, really agitated by that. Why? Because, oh my God, I have to got so much data to collect, and then I have to so much data to analyze, and that's going to create problem for me and this and that. And you make mistakes. AI does not do that. AI has reduced all of that in a very kind of a short form. Again, it's the concept of using that AI to your advantage. AI boosts efficiency, as I said, that, I mean, if I sit down and collect my information and then analyze that information and then, kind of like put it out in a way that everybody can understand it, it's going to take me days, if not weeks and months, depending on the size of the data. But now AI streamlined all of that process in a way that we can actually push it and then put all that data in front of me. So I can use that data to innovate new ideas, new concept, new technology, new processes, right? It kind of like AI elevates the competitiveness in adaptability and the customer experience. I can say to them that, okay, fine, this is what I need to do. My customer is coming. Let me know what I can do for my customer. And AI can pan that out for me without any problem. So what it has done is that it has taken a lot of information put together and then it has given it to me in a very short time, and it can suggest that what needs to be done. So what I am doing is that I am using my ideas, my concept through the help of AI. And that would be really, really good. But of course, with any good technology, you need to understand that ethics comes with that. Now, you can use this AI in a right way and in a wrong way. And if you do not have the borderline, kind of like understanding that what is required, we're going to be in big trouble for that. So what we need to do is that you need to have a very responsible way of using AI in such a way that you can actually understand what is happening and make it sustainable for you. Okay. Now, AI is part of that. The other thing is that we are talking about data driven. Whatever we do, we are sitting here, we are talking to people, we are seeing how many people are joining us, what kind of question we are going to be asking, how many people are asking question. All of this is data. We as human beings, we generate data upon data upon data. All right. And if we know how to use this properly, that would be amazing for us. Right. So what you do is that you take the data and you use that data to decide, to make decision that what would be useful for us. Right. To do that, first part is that you need to collect data. Second part is that you need to sit there and analyze that data, that how is it going to be? As I said, that AI is one of the best way to actually do that, right? This data is driven decision is essential for business success. Why? Because we have taken a huge chunk of data, we have made it compact, and we made it to understand that what we can do it for that. All right. So it becomes much, much easier for people to understand what is happening by seeing what is out there in huge number in much more compact way that we can actually analyze that. That is the key to any business success. We are talking about it needs to be, analyze it in such a way that you can actually use it for the purpose that you want to use. So it has to be strategically done. I mean, you cannot take all the data and then you say, okay, fine, this is what we're going to be doing. That's what we're going to talk about, and any data is going to be good for us. No, you need to strategically work out what customer, what angle, what kind of dimension that you are looking at. Because as I said, it's like a quicksand that you're going to be completely submerged into data and without realizing that what you are doing. So you need to be in a very quick way understanding strategically what kind of data you need, and then you need to then and data driven decision innovate business. Because when you actually look at it, that what is required in terms of business, then you focus onto that area, and that means that you are creating innovation. And one of the easiest and biggest example would be any kind of e-commerce business that you are looking at. Because in 21st century, we require that what is the demand that people want, and then we can actually fulfill that demand. Let's have a look at the Uber. Uber is one of the company where they said, okay, fine, it's nothing new about it. Everybody used to hail taxis, whether, since we started turning old donkey carts into like mechanized, taxis. And then all of a sudden Uber came. Uber said, you don't need to stand outside in the sun and hail a cab and 10 cabs will ignore you, only one will get you. Uber said, I'm going to give you the technology. You press your location, you say what company you want, you say what car you want, and I will get you that car and that taxi. And guess what? It's going to be coming in the next 5 minutes. You can actually monitor where your ride is. So what it has given you, it has given you a process to actually work on. And Uber is one of the companies. We're talking about Airbnb, we are talking about Amazon, we are talking about all kind of e-commerce companies. All of this is data driven. Then we are talking about an organization utilize data for insight, trend, and risk assessment. Now, if I have that information from my customers, if I have that information that from my understanding what's going to be happening, it becomes much, much easier for me to make the decision in future. Data is it's like a crystal ball. You can actually see the future, that what is happening by analyzing the data. So data is essential for thriving into data-rich era. And that data-rich era is now. I mean, you walk from one place, one entrance to the mall to the end of the mall, and you look at your phone, you're going to have 20 different, kind of messages saying that, oh, come and buy this because it's 20% off, 30% off, whatever that is. So what we are doing is that we are pushed by data-driven decision making, by data-driven rich era. This is what we are looking at. Okay, so this is one of the key thing. The other key thing is globalization. All of a sudden, because of technology, world has become a very, very small place. I mean, I remember my professors and my parents used to give a thing. Oh, how far are you going? Timbuktu? Now Timbuktu has become a very small place. Now they say that if you need to study, go to China. China has become a very small place. All of these things are very, very small places. I think that hardly very few places are left where we cannot get the information from. You are dealing in 21st century. 21st century is based on globalization. We are talking about that I can sit here and I can do my business without any problem, 24/7. If I have a brick and mortar shop, I can open it at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I can close it perhaps 12 o'clock midnight. But then what about the rest of the time? I'm missing 6 hours, right? Doesn't really matter because 24/7, I can have my work on the e-commerce, and that is like 24/7. 365 days a year. 8 billion people can easily buy anything from my shop through e-commerce. So that globalization, and not only that, globalization has a lot of misconception. People think that this means that only e-commerce. It's not. You're moving from one place to another. A lot of people move job, a lot of people migrate, a lot of people work, and because of their technology, this technology, you can actually do that. So these are the things that you need to actually look at it. I mean, let's have a look at this, what we're talking. We're talking about, expanding clientele. I mean, we are talking about, I think that last time I saw that the total connectivity around the world is roughly around 4 billion people, 4.4 or 4.5 billion people around the world, right? When you have that, that means that if I open a shop down on my street, I can attract perhaps, I don't know, 10,000 people. But if I have an e-commerce shop, I can have 4.4 billion connectivity or all the connectivity we have around the world. And if that's the thing, just imagine the number of clientele you can actually expand, right? We are talking about allocating talent, right? I mean, people from all around the world, we can get them. We can actually come to work for us. And guess what? We don't even have to do that by saying that, oh, you need to come to the country. Through globalization, through communication, through technology, we can actually do a lot of work sitting in our own offices, in our own houses, and they actually do that. We're talking about capitalizing on economic condition. Because if one part of the region or one part of the world is not doing so great economically, what we can do is that we can push around to other regions as well. And that means that it will help you to expand your horizon in terms of business needs. Then we're also looking at the cross-cultural competencies. This is one of the key things that we are looking at, that how it can. I think that I actually need to understand that what exactly is prioritization. So you need to prioritize innovation, and you can only do that through that, what your vision should be for the globalization. So you need to kind of like expand in terms of what you want to do. Okay. Then we are talking about, responsibility of corporate social responsibility, CSR of any company. Now consumers are very, very intelligent. They want to save the world. Every time I take my kid out to shop and I said, can I have a plastic bag or, carrier? They said, nope, we don't want that, Baba. We want to save the world. Now, they are far more involved in this than perhaps my generation. They understand, and the business, the technology needs to cater for that younger generation because they want to ask questions. Look, we are talking about, 21st century. This is our century. This is our time. And what are we doing for that? Environmental sustainability, environmental responsibility is the key thing to any business now. People will ask questions. And they will not only ask questions, they will demand those questions and they will demand those changes as well. So when we are talking about eco-friendly practices, tackle environmental challenges, reduce carbon footprint, and conserve resources, this is our responsibility. And we can only do that by understanding that how the technology is going to be moving. We had COP28 in Dubai only like a few months back, and that really changed a lot of things for us because we understood that what is required for businesses to do. It's not the responsibility, only the responsibility of the government. It's not the responsibility of businesses only. It's not the responsibility of us consumer only. We need to work together to kind of like understand what is happening around the world and what we need to do to change things, because these changes are very important. Now, when you're talking about CSR integration, that is very, very important because business needs to work for their clients now, for their clientele. They need to understand their customer. Because at the end of the day, go back 70 years, 60 years, 50 years, and we see a lot of the companies taking the environment for granted. I mean, I'm pretty sure of it that all of you would remember the Bhopal incident, right? That created a big problem. Now, if the companies will do that, they will not be able to survive because the clientele, the customers, will refuse to deal with it. So that's why corporate social responsibility integration is very, very important when you're actually working with society, working with the environment. And it boosts your reputation as well. So whenever you are thinking of starting a business, whenever you are thinking of like stepping on, you need to take that kind of a strategy in your stride, that this is what we are talking about, this is why we need it, and that will kind of push your reputation up to other clientele and other customers, and that will give you a competitive edge as well. So sustainable practices are very, very important. I was reading somewhere that IKEA actually bought a very big chunk of like area in America to replant the forest over there so they can keep that, the requirement for the timber for their furnitures through that. And that is good sustainability, right? Because it requires a good time for these trees to get mature to use it as timber. If you don't do it now, you're not going to have like, 70 years after that. But if you do it now, you can cultivate that in next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Align your strategy with environmental and social goals, very, very important. No matter whether your business is mature or it's like, you're just starting a business, make sure that people understand, make sure that you understand, make sure that the people who are working with you, all kind of the stakeholders, the internal or the external stakeholders, understand what is required when we are talking about, environmental goals in your strategy, because that is very important. And the better you start with now, the better it would be for your business. Okay. Now, these are the things that we need to understand. And one of the key thing which kind of like changed us, we all suffered from, the whole of the COVID kind of like, remote working. Let's just go back 5 years. Before COVID, we were thinking of working remotely. And we were thinking about, should we do it? Shouldn't we do it? Then all of a sudden COVID came and COVID like pushed us into it that, we have to change. And this is one of the key things. You don't need to have a huge office to fill in, well, by people so they can start working. No, COVID has changed all of this. COVID said to us that we can work remotely. COVID said that we can actually sit down and we can start thinking about things sitting at home. I did that for 1 year with my kids. My kids were off at school. I used to sit down with them, and then I used to do my work. They used to do their work. And it made me more productive because I don't have to worry about my kids when I'm sitting in the office and thinking, oh, what they will be doing, how they are. They're right in front of me. So you kind of need to balance out that what exactly is going to be happening, right? It lowered the cost of people having these huge offices. Now, why should I invest money in there? But from my point of view, I think that interaction with people is very, very important. And that for that, you need to kind of like have, yes, I can say that, oh, okay, I don't want to go to the office, but you need to have that interaction. I'm pretty sure of it that a lot of people who actually were stopped during the COVID time and they were spending time alone, after a while, you started pulling your hair, right? That I need to have that human connection. That is very good, right? But you can work both hand in hand. Digital customer experience and like is pivotal for any kind of business that you can actually do all kind of things. But the big problem with that is that when you actually work and sit down together, you come up with ideas, right? And those ideas are very, very important for any kind of business to actually work. We are talking about robust consumer, relationship are vital for lasting success. And for that, you need to kind of like push people to actually work on that. As I said, that when you're talking about the connectivity, if you are talking about global business, you can have around 44.4 billion people as a clientele. But you need to understand that that is through technology. And that only way you can do that when you have that relationship as well. I mean, when people come into my office and they said that, well, I've got this problem, I can have that problem, I can solve that. And that connection is very, very good. But you need to kind of like enhance the same kind of connection in such a way that you can actually do that online as well. So that is very good. Rapid 21st century change demand adaptability in any kind of industry. This is the key thing. We are talking about that any changes which is happening. And when I say rapid, it means very, very, very rapid, very, very quick. And if you do not adapt to that, you're going to be in big trouble, right? So a business need to understand that the whole dynamics of the environment required businesses to kind of anticipate market and shift and innovate continually that what is happening around us. If we don't do this, we're going to be in trouble. That's one of the key things that you need to have, that competitiveness is based on your adaptability. How quickly do you adapt to the situation? Okay. Are we good with this? Right. Now, let's just see ethical, transparent business practices. Now, ethics is the key to any business, and especially when Sally actually asked that, how many of you want to become entrepreneurs and have your own businesses, you need to understand one thing. This is a long-lasting aspiration. Business is like having a baby. It starts for the birth of that till perhaps you reach that age where you said, okay, I'm not going to keep an eye on it. I'm going to ask some manager to do that for me. But at the end of the day, my mother used to say that, oh, by the way, you're still a baby to me. I said, Mom, I've got 2 kids of my own. And she said, no, you're still a baby to me. So business is just like that. It's still your baby, and it's going to stay your baby until you realize that that's it, that you're letting it go. But at the end of the day, you need to bring ethics to it. And you start the ethics from the start. You tell people that this is my business, and I am basically taking that concept to you with all honesty and with all the best practices that you can do, all the fairness you can think of, right? Your money is going to get the best that I'm going to give you. And that is the foundation of good business, longer lasting business, being transparent, having principles, both stakeholder trust. And in trust is the most important part in any business. All right. We are talking about ethical decision making. We are talking about consider social and environmental impact beyond legal compliance. Right. I mean, sometimes it's very, very easy. We need to know that what the legal compliances are. We can agree to it, we can disagree to it. But at the end of the day, if you put that into your business in a right way, people will come to you for your honesty. I don't know about, how many of you would know about Ratan Tata. That is such an amazing company. I love this company in a sense that when I compare that company historically, and I compare with all the American and the European companies, I think that Tata was way ahead, way ahead in terms of, applying the ethics and transparency into the business. I mean, in the early part of, 20th century, they were giving maternity and paternity leave. But there was no concept of that in Europe. There was no concept of that in America. And that is such an amazing thing to do. So when you're talking about ethics and you apply ethics, and when you talk about ethics, it does not mean only your honesty. We are talking about how do you treat your employees? How do you treat them? Because of that, it will reflect that how they are to their customer. It's really interesting that one of the Richard Branson, Virgin Atlantic Group guy, he said that treat your employees so well that they are fully prepared to go out in a bigger for a better job. But you know, make sure that they are treated so well in your own company that they don't want to leave. That's the beauty of that. You're preparing them. You are, adding a new concept, new ideas, new innovation to them. And they think that, wow, I can get this job elsewhere at much higher price. But would I get the culture that I want in this company? Right? And if they don't do that, if they don't, they will stay with you loyal for a very, very long time. Right? This is what we are looking at. So that means whenever you're talking about the contribution of ethics, think about the people who are going to be working for you, because your company is nothing without your employees, right? You can have a lot of investment, you can have a lot of asset, but the only asset and the one of the biggest asset that you have is your human capital, right? And if you are not very good, that is not going to work. Their contribution, shape, or we are talking about brighter future, fairer future. This is what we are looking for in terms of how the things is going to be working. Ethical firms gain competitive edge, attractive talent, and build global reputation. Now you must be thinking that how does it attract talent? Well, if your company is good enough, I'd much rather working for you rather than working for the company. Okay, now this is very, very important to have that, because at the end of the day, if you don't do this, it's going to be a problem. All right, so you need to understand that how things are going to be working. Okay, then we're looking at why all of this awareness matter. Well, it's a tool. If I had, well, I have 4 eyes, but if I had more eyes, then I would make my decision much, much better. We are talking about financial stability. We are talking about survival and relevance. We are talking about sustainable growth. We are talking about customer satisfaction. And these are the key things to understand what is happening. These are the key things to understand why things are happening. All right, and that will give you that. I normally in kind of lectures where I have to be in present, I ask some of the students or most of the students, if you can do this as well. Can you do this for me? All of you, kindly. Sally, you as well. Can you do this for me? Come on. What do you see, Sally?
I see the slide and I see you too.
Right. No. You see handsome me, Sally. Right. Okay. This is the key thing. Now, when you do that in a business, it means that you're focusing. But business requires 360 degrees. That's why it is important to have that awareness. All right. That's why you need to understand that why do we need to kind of have much bigger prospect, much bigger vision when we are actually checking these things out. All right. So we need to understand how change drives competitive advantage for businesses. Well, if it gives you the innovation, edge, people do these kind of things for a reason. Now, I don't know whether you guys know, but Steve Jobs was kicked out of his own company. And then when he came back, he changed everything. How? Very, very simple. He went to people and he said, guys, doesn't really matter who you are, whether you are a CEO or the janitor. If you have an idea, bring that idea to us. And if we can make that idea work, excellent. This is what we're going to do, right? And everybody came up with the idea. And now you will see that the innovation happened in Apple in such a rapid pace is because people were coming out with the idea. Brand loyalty. Let's stick with Apple, right? Brand loyalty is that people are we very, very proud to be an Apple, loyal person, loyal customer. We are talking about efficiency. It boosts efficiency for the company, right? That's the key thing that people want to work. People want to work wholeheartedly. I was working somewhere. It was one of those darkest period of my life, and I hated my job. Right? I literally used to grab hold of my collar and push me out of the bed, and then I would go in and work there. But then I resigned from there and I joined a place where it was amazing. Why it was amazing? Because it kind of like helped you boost your morale. You want to work. And what that did, it actually improved my productivity. And when it improved my productivity, it actually improved the company's productivity as well. All right. You need to be agile. Agile is one of the key things. Not gonna say, oh, tomorrow we're gonna look at that technology. If you're gonna do that, your competitor gonna take advantage of that. All right. So you need to be very, very quick. And you see all the companies who are actually moving into that line, they are far better off than those companies who are taking their time accepting and adapting their technology. We're talking about market growth. It actually pushes the market growth as well, that you can go to other places as well. I mean, look at one of the strategy Apple used to start selling it in China. And then what happened? It became, at one point, it became $1 trillion company. That was because that they were selling in China. Okay, we're talking about embrace change for competitiveness. Very, very important. Because the thing is, like, when you talk about embrace, and that really means embrace, that the leadership from the top to the bottom on the shop floor, that we are all using technology. When we are using technology, it means that we are basically any kind of changes which is going to be happening to us, we can adapt to it without any problem. Okay. Now, when we are talking about in terms of conclusion, let's just conclude this. We are talking about 21st century in adapt technology. We are talking about consumer demand and sustainability. That is the key thing. We need to understand how technology will bring customer to us. We need to understand that why this adapting needs awareness, kind of like evolving landscape. And that evolving landscape is things are changing all the time. From the minutest of the change to the huge change, huge disruption that as we talk about, that are something that you need to understand what is happening. Market understanding, enhance opportunity, seizing challenges, and then we are talking about prediction and competitiveness as well. Now, all of these kind of things are very, very important, because if you are up to date, if you are kind of like informed, if you know what you're doing, that will give you that competitive advantage. Digital revolution enhances process, customer experience, and business efficiency as well. Now, remember, all of this is done because of one thing, and that is that you are turning digital concept and you're adding on to the customer, and the customer is actually enjoying them. Every now and then, whenever we go to the mall, this is the kind of a small thing that we have. My son would go to the washroom, and then there's a cleaner pad over there. It was an iPad, and then it says that if you like the service, press the smiley. If you don't like the other smiley, which is like not very happy, angry, is fine. But that, we think it's nothing, but that will give that connection that the customer have, the service that they are getting, right? And then you need to analyze this. Businesses prioritize environmental and social responsibility to support sustainable development gain. Now, to all those people who are basically planning to be amazing entrepreneur and all of those, just remember one thing. It is a business which you need to sustain for a longer period. Business is something that you want to add on. Yes, you can diversify it. Yes, you can make changes to that. But that is something for life. That is something for a very, very long time. And those people who would love to get into the business, you will realize that something like that is once you get the taste of that, oh man, you don't want to let go. All right. This is the beauty of that, right? We're also looking at the adapting to the consumer preferences, boost loyalty with tailored offering. Now, the word is tailored offering. Now, we have got 8 billion people now in this, the world of ours. And it means that you need to find a way or innovate such function processes that you can make the customer be something special. Now, we have got Tata Motors, we have got Fords, we have got Ferraris, we have got Rolls Royce, all of those amazing cars. But one car makes you special, and that is Mini Austin. No one Mini Austin is the same in comparable to other. They will have some light different. They will have some headlight different. They will have some head grill different. They will have some, color variation. But that is you as individual. That's what you want. And when they realize, the customer realize that, I'm unique, they will cling on to you like anything. So that's a good thing to have. Global market trend. We are talking about support expansion, access and revenue diversification, right? Again, companies diversify is the best thing that you need to establish yourself. Once you establish yourself, you can diversify. Look at General Electric. General Electric was a huge thermodynamic, we are talking about um, uh, big engine maker and everything, diversified to an extent that it became an insurance company, it became the financial company, it became food company, it became got into the medical industry, all of that. So you can diversify, but first need to establish yourself. First need to kind of like create a kind of a concept that this is what the company is all about. Then we are talking about leveraging changes. We are talking about enhanced competitiveness, surpassing rivals for industry leadership. Remember that your constant fight is with your competitors. And it's not a bad thing, because when you have competitiveness, it will give you that boost of like energy to go forward and innovate new ideas, new processes, new operations. That's a very good thing for any business to survive. Because if I don't have that, challenges are important in anyone's life. If you don't have challenges, life becomes very, very miserable. Okay, the last bit is that to do with ethical practices, build trust, attract talent, and sustain competitive advantage. I could not stress more how important it is to create that trust. If you want to make money in one go, um, you know, you can give them a lot of good things, and guess what? That is going to be all fake. But if you want to have the business which is going to be lasting you for you and your generation, and be like Tata, be a company which people trust, employee trust, customer trust, their competitor trust. And that is why it is very, very important to have that. That trust is the key to any business. You can have an amazing empire, but if that empire does not have foundation, forget it. It's gonna collapse just like that. After first sale, after first quarter, after first year, nonetheless, it's gonna collapse. So create that trust where people will understand that yes, my money would give me the best for this from this company, right? My effort is going to give the best to that company, and in return, I'm going to get the best from my company as well. All right. So this trust is like a kind of a two-way thing, that you give that trust and respect, in return, I will do the same thing. Right. I will conclude that here, Sally. Now it's your job to come up with amazing questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Masood Khan. It was a wonderful, wonderful, and a very enriching session. And I really thank you for your valuable insights and expertise.
Thank you.
Your contributions have really, I'm very sure that all the attendees today, they have taken all the key aspects of the topic and leaving all of, you have really left all of us very inspired. And I'm sure that all the attendees here are better equipped with all the information and the insights that you have shared. I particularly like the slides wherein you elaborated on AI and the significance of decision making through data. Those slides were really eye-opening.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
analogy you made with business and having your own baby, it was very
Well,
apt. Yeah,
it is very true as well, because I mean, at the end of
absolutely.
the day, you want to have business which is going to be lasting not only for you, but for your, next two, three generations as well. Um,
Absolutely. It is an analogy that is worth thinking, that the more you really more concentrate on the upbringing of your baby, the healthier and the it's going to
yeah,
be a very civilized human being and a very kind human being. So is it with business.
yeah.
So though that analogy was really apt. And before starting with the question and answer round, I want you to take a break and sip a glass of water.
All
Uh,
right, thank you.
Meanwhile, I would like to ask the audience a question, and you all can answer in the chat box, not the Q&A box. I want you to answer in the chat box. What My question is that which is the most technological advancement do you see that has happened in the 21st century? So these the answers can vary from person to person. It can be computer, it can be internet, it can be Xerox machine, it can be anything. What particular technological advancement you feel that has been really revolutionizing, or maybe that has really brought a lot of change? Okay, I anticipated that it has to be AI. Okay, yeah, yeah. Most of them are saying AI. I don't mind if you go 10 years back, or maybe online marketing and sales. Okay. Social media, IoT, that is Internet of Things. Okay. 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 So we have a lot of answers wherein people are mentioning different technological um, innovations, or maybe discoveries that we are blessed with, and everybody around the world are taking advantage, and they are growing their businesses and enriching their jobs, or maybe their roles. Professor, can we uh, start with our Q&A round?
Yes, of course. I would
Okay.
love to.
Okay. So I start with the first question that comes from Harish Kumar. Harish asks that even though AI is a very advanced tool, it hampers one's abilities and makes one addicted to ready-made sources. What do you think?
Ah, right. Okay. Um, on the contrary, people assume that. But the thing is, like, AI can only give you the answer what you ask for. And the more creative question you ask, the most creative results you are going to get. Do kind of a small experiment when you do get the time, Rajesh. Uh, Ask AI that, do this for me, right? And then any kind of question you ask, you elaborate that question to an extent that it will give you a very detailed answer. And you will see the difference between the two answers. So yes, AI, as I said in one of the slides, that AI needs to be used responsibly. By all means, it can be a very useful tool, but the ready-made concept or the ideas, or it's not making people lazy, but people need to understand that to get the best result, they need to come up with creative answers or creative questions to get creative answers. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to ask rubbish, it will give you rubbish. And if you ask, good innovative question, it will give you a good innovative answer. So it's the question of that it's a tool, but how do you use it? That's really up to the operator.
Absolutely, that is so
Yeah.
right. That it depends on how you utilize it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have Ojong Akbar, and the question is, what are some of the best practices entrepreneurs using AI can employ to enhance business development and growth in the 21st century?
All right. Now, I mean, depending on what stage of business you are in, as I said, that, if you give babies, start feeding the baby instead of milk, some solid food, they're not going to be able to, take it very nicely. But what you need to understand is that if you can use AI to actually, in terms of your growth, Ask question that what you can do. Not only that, I'm not talking about asking those questions to AI. Ask yourself that which direction do you want to go? And then from there onward, start using AI that what methods, what kind of data, what kind of innovation do you need to actually expand? Because at the end of the day, if you do not understand, as I said again, that AI is a tool. It can be used the way you want it to be used. And to make it more efficient, you need to understand that how or where you want to go. So if you know exactly where you want to go with your business and how you want to expand it, you can add it as a tool to actually see that one. It's like going in taking a road at nighttime without a light, and then AI is that light which will actually help you to follow the direction or the destination you want to go. So it's just the concept of that how you want to use it, only if you know where you are going. Okay, I hope this answers your question.
Great, thank you. Rachel has an interesting question. She asks that how do we measure performance of modern business? What should we look out for in order to be able to say this business is successful or not doing very well?
Ah, the easiest answer to that is not your customer, but your employee.
Mm.
How happy they are at work. Because remember, at the end of the day, whatever you do, however you do it, you have to do it within the boundaries of your offices or business. And that reflects out to the customer or to the clientele that you have. So if your people are happy working, then you will know that your business is successful or it's going to be very successful. But if your employees are not happy, and they are kind of like, they do not have a clear vision that what you want to do, then there's going to be a problem. And remember, the other thing is that there's a misconception. People think that, oh, we should not challenge our people. Challenge is the key thing. Let me give you an example. If you have a straight line, and that straight lines actually show, that your business is doing well, straight line, that is going to be boring,
Actually, yeah.
right? But if you're going to have a line which is going up, that means you're alive. Your business is alive. And having a little bit of dip does not mean that the business is going bad. That means that you need to reinvent yourself. You need to innovate again to actually come with great ideas. All right. So the key thing, the one of the key indicator is that you need to know whether your employees, people who are working for you, are they happy? Are they satisfied? Are they challenged? Then you would know how well your business is doing. Okay.
Very, very interesting. So if it's too consistent, it's too good to be true.
Yes, exactly. Because there's no innovation there. People take that as a status quo, right? And when you have a status quo, then you're just like get bored, and then there's no. This is why Steve Jobs actually came up with the idea that you need to tell us what needs to be done, what needs to be changed, instead of me, the CEO, is telling you what we need. So open the door for innovation. Allow people to come up with ideas. And some of the ideas might be really rubbish. Some of my ideas might be like very mediocre. Some out of 100, perhaps 5, 10 would be very good. But that would give you challenge. People would give that challenge to come up with an idea. And that is the key thing. Come up with an idea. And then you can shape it, refine it if it is good enough.
Great. Yeah. So there is a question from an anonymous attendee, and
Mhm.
the question is, how can we cooperate with friends from different countries? I think the person means maybe associate or collaborate. How can we collaborate with friends from different countries?
Yeah. Well, this is the globalization is all about, isn't it? I mean, the thing is like, if I want to sell my car to China, India, I don't know, African countries, Nigeria, we are talking about Kenya. How do we can actually collaborate that? Well, I mean, the thing is like, I need to understand what is the culture is of that country. Now, if that country requires, I don't know, AC need to be fitted very well in my car, I need to understand the environment. I need to understand what kind of people we are selling it to, all of that. So that is a collaboration, understanding that where we are, what we want, and what the customer wants. That is a collaboration. For that, I need to go and talk to the people who are in that country, that how we can collaborate. And that is the key thing. We shouldn't be shy about it. There's another thing that we kind of like, we always push that what is good for us would be good for you as well. But it doesn't work like that. You need to understand the psyche of that customer, of that environment, before you actually understand that, that is going to be good for you. And those changes are going to be needed. I'm in Dubai, and we have two sets of car. One says that, if I'm basically bringing it out from America, that is going to be, the spec is going to be American. But if the American cars are coming here directly as a to sell, they will say GCC spec, which means that, it's a hot country, so they need to be, adapted to that environment. So that is a collaboration to understand what is required, and talking to the people over there, understanding the culture, understanding, the work ethic, understanding how the business is going to work. All of this is part of the collaboration.
That was a wonderful answer. We have one more question from Ojong Akbar. This is actually an area which we have to really discuss from the soft skills perspective. And he asks that the 21st century is an era characterized with ideation, innovation, and high learning. What are the most important soft skill entrepreneurs should have to scale through this generation?
Right. I mean, these kind of questions are very interesting one, because people expect that, I give them the ready-made thing, that this is the skill you need. The most important thing is creativity. And that creativity, AI cannot teach you that creativity. Robotics cannot teach you that creativity. These are the things that which are there for you to use. How you use it, that comes from your creativity, right? Jack Ma, Alibaba.com, he came up with an amazing answer to that question, because this is one of those questions that people ask all the time. What skills do I need in 21st century? I mean, AI can do a lot of things for you. All kind of technology can do a lot of things for you. But at the end of the day, you need to be creative enough to answer those questions. So when I wrote my dissertation, I actually wrote, first sentence of my dissertation was, I ask of those things which were never there. And I ask myself, why not? And that why not is the key to everything. So push yourself, be more creative. And technology, anybody can adapt to it. Anybody can get used to it. Anybody can, make sure that it is work very well for that person. But if you do not have that creativity part, then that technology is as dumb as the operator. So you need to be very, very kind of creative to use that. And once you do that, trust me, it will open all kind of doors for you. So one skill that I would advise you to be creative, ask question, explore things, never be scared about, like, tasting new things. And I'm not only talking about food here. So try all those kind of things.
Right. So men, machines, technology, everything can be bought or everything can be collected, but something which you have in mind cannot be expressed.
Yes,
It is you who
exactly.
has to take it from within.
Precisely. Yeah. Right.
Okay. So we'll take last few questions.
Yeah.
Ibrahim Diallo asks that what are the prospects for business in post-pandemic world?
Amazing. Post-pandemic, well, actually pushed us to realize that things need to change. I don't know whether you guys remember that at one point they were showing videos where people were fighting over toilet rolls. That actually showed us that supply chain is a big problem. If things are not coming from China, India, then we are a problem. We have a problem in Europe and America. So supply chain is the key thing. And for that, you need to understand that, you know, there's only very few places in this big whole wide world where we can actually bring things quite easily. And supply chain is the key thing to understand that if there are problems, what we can do to actually back ourselves up, what we need to do to actually realize that there are other things involved as well that can actually fulfill our demand. So that post-pandemic world that we are talking about, there's a lot of things. We are talking about that how the remote working has become a very big thing as well. I don't know whether if you can go back in the days of blueberries, everybody was have a blueberry, and then you realize that blueberry. Am I talking about the phone here? Shelly, that was known as blueberry, right?
Yes,
Or is it blackberry? I think
blackberry.
blackberry.
It's blackberry, not blue. It's the black
But
and not the blue.
I had a blueberry muffin today this morning. That's why
That's
I'm
why you
thinking
have
of
that on
that.
your
Yeah,
mind.
right. Blackberry. So BlackBerry was given to all the managers, and that became a kind of a big problem that they want us 24/7 working. Now the whole concept of 24/7 has changed into after post-pandemic. We have been given internet allocate, connection, so we can work at any given time. So it's a good thing and a bad thing. The bad thing is that you are constantly working. The good thing is that you're working in your own environment, and you've kind of like need to worry about whether the manager is coming behind you or the director is watching you and all of those kind of things. But things have changed. We learned a lot from the post-pandemic era. And by the way, guys, do not think that we will stop learning now. No, it's a continuous learning process. That how we can work both in kind of like brick and mortar in your office environment and your own space environment. So things are changing. Things are still changing. I mean, post-pandemic, we think that it's over, but China is just waking up, right? I mean, their post-pandemic is still a pandemic. It's not a post, so things are still happening. And these kind of things will make us a bit more resilient to changes, which is very, very good to understand that, all of those kind of changes going to be happening, and then we can adapt to it without any problem. So it kind of like pushes us to do better.
Thank you, Professor Mansoor Khan. I can see that people are still posting their questions, and
Nice.
majority of the questions are again about AI.
Yeah.
And I think you have already spoken about AI, that it is just a tool, and we should keep our creativity and we should not stop thinking. Otherwise,
No.
this is going to be a rotten machine. So,
Yeah, exactly.
so thank you again, Professor Khan, and it was a wonderful session. And
Thank you very much.
I thank all the attendees today who joined us and have participated very actively. And I hope that you've taken as much as possible from the webinar. You can again go through the slides by Professor on our YouTube channel, and you can claim today's certificate through email. It is for $10, and you can very well flaunt your certificate on LinkedIn, or maybe your personal biodata, or anywhere in your peer group, saying that yes, you attended this webinar wherein you learned all the insights of doing business in the 21st century. So I thank you once again, and thank you, Professor.
Pleasure. And I just wanted to wish everybody Eid Mubarak.
Yes, Eid
This is
Mubarak.
the third day of Eid. So I wish you all very happy Eid and enjoy yourself. Always, always explore things. Never be kind of like, scared by it, because it's something that you actually do that and you learn quite a lot from it. Okay? Thank you very much for
Fasting of
listening to me.
fasting of 12 hours teaches you a lot.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much. Pleasure. Pleasure.
Thank you, Professor. I'll see you again.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you. See you
bye-bye.
around.